scene with a need to bleed you when the light goes green. Best believe I'm in the zone to be. From a yin to my yang to my yang to Z. Put a grin on my chin when you come to me. Cause I'll win, I'm a one of a kind, and I'll bring death to the place you're about to be. Another river of blood running under my feet. Forged in a fire lit long ago. Stand next to me, you'll never stand alone. I'm last to leave, but the first to go. Lord, make me dead before you make me old. I feed on the fear of the devil inside of the enemy faces in my sight. Aim with a hand, shoot with a mind, kill with a heart like Arctic ice.
I am a soldier and I'm marching on.
I am a soldier and I'm marching on.
I am a warrior, this is my song.
I am a warrior and this is my song. I'm basking the glow of the rising war. Lay waste to the ground of an enemy shore. Wade through the blood spilled on the floor. And if another one stands, I'll kill some more. Bullet in the breach and a fire in me. Like a cigarette thrown to gasoline. If death don't bring you fear, I swear you'll fear these marching feet. Come to the nightmare, come to me. Deep down in the dark where the devil be. In the mall where the jaws and the razor teeth. Where the brimstone burns and the angel weeps. Crawl to the gods ever cross your path. And my silhouette hangs like a body mat. Hope is a moment now long past. The shadow of death is the...
All right, everyone, welcome to another episode of Stu and the Nunn. Thank you so much for joining us again on this Thursday evening. As you can see, we got a full crew. We got a great show in line for you. Obviously, got Toby, my brother from another motherland, down in the southern studio. And we have our good friend, multiple-time past guest, and just a phenomenal guy that has done so much. We are so honored to have him here on tonight. We call him Robo, Mr. Chad Robichaux. Hey, Chad, how you doing?
Hey, man. Good to be with you guys.
Yes, good to be with you. What's happening, Toby? How are things down in the southern studio, and what's going on tonight?
You know, yesterday was the hottest day of the year, for technically for where I'm at. So, Chad's about an hour south of me. So hopefully it was a little bit more muggy for him. And I hope all the rain that they got from that little storm, made it exceptionally humid. Just to make it more miserable for him. But everything here is good, man. But excited to have Chad on the show. We've been trying to get the time coordinated to make this happen because, if you watch Fox or, some of these other channels, apparently he's in high demand, like everybody wants the black belt to come down and give a seminar. But no, my man's been busy, so we're finally glad to get him on the air. And we're happy to have him back here in the U.S. Because he's been busy. So, Chad, we talked last time you were on, we kind of insinuated that Save Our Allies was getting created. So we've been promoting Save Our Allies. We've been sharing Save Our Allies on all our channels, telling our donors and people to go through you guys' dollar bills.
You know who else promoted Save Our Allies today? Chris Pratt. You see that?
Oh, Pratt.
Really?
He's a good
nice.
dude.
He blasted it out. Yeah, he blasted it out. It was cool. He reshared one of Tim's videos and personally donated. I don't say how much because it's private, but he personally donated. Yeah.
Puts his money where his mouth is. That's a good dude. Maybe he'll play somebody in a movie someday. Maybe we'll see. But all right, let's get down to it. Tell us. We know the genesis of why you got involved in what happened in Afghanistan was because of Aziz. So, just give us the 30,000 foot, go into the genesis of Save Our Allies, and then let's get caught up because we know we only got you for a few minutes.
Yeah, it was me and Dan wanting to get Aziz and his family. We put the plan together and then rallied in some guys that we thought could be effective. We wanted a small team of people that had some specific skill sets, abilities, and networks and resources. And so one of those people, a lot of people know Tim on this show from fighter and Green Beret and sniper, but Tim has some specific skill sets at ASO level 3, and he's has an AFO background, and that's the kind of guys we're looking for. Lured Tim in, and Nick. Nick came along as to kind of capture the whole thing and make sure Tim was like, this is going to be like a Dunkirk event. I'm like, I don't know what that means, and he's like, no, we got to capture this, and because I didn't know what was gonna come. I mean, I was just going to get my friend, and as we were planning, one of the guys that we worked with, I can't say his name, but he said, "Hey, there's this orphanage that's like 3,000 orphans, and they're mainly orphans from like former Afghan commandos that were killed. The 60,000 Afghans that were killed, interpreters and Afghan commandos and Afghan National Army. These are the children of them, and we have a chance to get them out." And so it's just kind of one of those moments where we're like, man, yeah, it's pretty selfish just to get my friend and his family out. If we could do this, let's get as many as we can. And one of our team members also had a family relationship with the royal family of UAE. Couldn't say this earlier, but now I can say it. So we went to the UAE government and proposed kind of an operational plan of how we were going to do this and prove to them that we were capable of pulling it off. And they supported us. They gave us a place in their base to set up a joint operations center. So we put the JSOC there. We had the airfield to move charter flights. They gave us 2 C-17 aircraft, military aircraft with their pilots, and a humanitarian center. 4,100 people. We got 4,100 slots, and doctors and social workers and everything that comes with the humanitarian center. And went there, staged, and launched operation. We put a kind of an underground blast out saying, "Hey, we're looking to help Americans, SIVs, interpreters, and their families, women that would be vulnerable, children that would be vulnerable, and Christians that would be persecuted." Those are groups we're going after, and we thought we'd get a few responses. We ended up in 2 weeks we got 29,000 responses. And so Sarah Veridos, she's CEO of Independence Fund, she partnered with us at Mighty Oaks. We started the Save Our Allies kind of campaign, coalition effort. And what Sarah and her team really did was they went through all those emails, categorized people, triaged a list, made sure we have they are who they said they were, sent that to our JSOC in Abu Dhabi. We in our JSOC in Abu Dhabi, we built target rescue packages, and then and launched a guy. We had one guy on the HKIA airport liaisoning with the military because the military was trying to handle all these aircraft from humanitarian efforts, and it was just too chaotic. So that, like the military normally does, too chaotic, they just shut it down. So we came in and said, "Hey, we'll manage that. We'll be the single point of contact." And so we had a guy there, Dave, just stayed in that place for 14 days and slept on the floor and just kind of managed all those flights. The military gave us our own hangar and our own ramp. So we had our own kind of runway, a ramp, a hangar. Wow. And then we put 3 guys rotating, 3 different guys outside the wire. That would go outside the wire. And so our JSOC would kind of coordinate with the people we were rescuing, whether it was a group of 30 women or some Americans or a group of orphans, whatever the group was, we liaisoned them and coordinated them with our ground team. And we were very one of the things I was super proud is that we were able to we had a really good process with bona fides to make sure that we were getting who we wanted to get, and so safe for our team, safe for them, and we're just picking up any random Afghans. We're picking up the right people. And so we had a 7-point authentication system based on some different data that I won't share, but some different data to make sure they were the right people. And then I could say this now as well because we couldn't then, but now with the airport not being ours anymore, I can say that. Well, everybody had heard of the perimeter around the airport, and Taliban had the outer perimeter, which means they really controlled the airport. But this is a big airport. Imagine a big airport in your city. It's miles, so that's not a shoulder-to-shoulder perimeter around the airport. There's lots of porous gaps. They're really at checkpoints. And so with the cover at night, it's pretty easy to move people through rat lines to the gate, the fences of the airport, and then there's gates and different secret gates and stuff, places to bring people through. Bring them through. The military would inspect them, put them in a holding area, and then shuttling them on our flights to the humanitarian center in Abu Dhabi. And after 10 days, the dust settled. We ended up with 12,000 people, 8,911 at a humanitarian center. We assisted with another 3,000. And so that's kind of where that ended, and then moved into what we're doing now.
So you guys, you weren't the only group on the ground of just NGOs or non-military, non-government organizations. There were others. Do you know how you compared with some of them of the amount of people they were able to go out and get, vet, move through, and get out of country? Do you think
Yeah.
one of the biggest ones, or were there others?
We're the biggest. I don't say that as a competition because this wasn't a competition.
Right,
In fact,
right.
We worked together. The numbers that we got were mainly because of two reasons. The numbers we got were mainly because of the UAE partnering with us.
Yeah.
The military on the ground that allowed us to work with them. That we can't even, some of the special operations guys, we can't even mention who they are. But so them, and then third would be some of the other NGOs, mainly Nazarene Fund, Glenn Beck's group, Mercury One, because they were providing a lot of the charter aircraft, and they were just absolutely incredible. So some of our, we share some of those numbers. But yeah, we physically rescued more people than any other group, and I think our evacuation, 12,000 person evacuation, was second only to the United States military. And so we definitely were the biggest group. But we had other groups that had smaller groups, but they had like some real. They weren't trying to go in for big numbers. They were going for like precision folks. I know the guys at Pineapple, they had some real precision targets. They were going after specific people, and they did a phenomenal job. We met with them. We're going to be working moving forward with them. Jason Redmond, a great friend of mine, and he's retired Navy SEAL and who was wounded in combat. Amazing guy as part of Pineapple. And Scott, I met a guy named Scott Mann who's kind of leading it up.
Scott's a good friend of ours. Been on the show many times. Yeah,
so those guys did a great job. And another group. There's been a couple of groups that we've kind of absorbed that were like smaller and doing amazing things, but they had some great skill sets and wanted to continue going on. But we have the kind of privilege because Mighty Oaks has been around 10 years. We have a very strong organization, so we were able to quickly launch Mighty Oaks, and the Independence Fund was able to take it from a campaign and launch another 501c3 that's umbrellaed by Mighty Oaks right now. So it's we were able to have that infrastructure really quick to bring in some of these other operations. One of them is Task Force. So we were Task Force 6-8. That's the operation we did. Save Our Allies was the organization. Task Force 6-8 was our out of Isaiah 6-8.
And that's going to say that from Isaiah 6-8.
Yeah, here am I, send me. And so that was kind of not coincidentally, but a couple of us all had that kind of Task Force 6-8 mentality, and we all kind of came together, and all of us said it like at the same time, and we were like, hey man, that's who we are. That's why we're here.
Yeah, the UAE effort obviously was a big piece of that, right? I didn't know, having that ability probably was a big contributor why you were able to get so many out, right? You had a staging area, you had a JSOC, you had, we had
a place to bring people.
What a blessing! What a blessing to have that, right?
We had two C-17s. I mean, so
yeah,
that's what I say. It's not a competition because I'm sure if some of the other groups would have two C-17s in another country, like they would have got the same numbers too. And I'm sure they all had the same heart and same passion to be there. And so I don't want to take anything away from those guys. We were just blessed to have those opportunities. And then there's another group that's merged under us now called Task Force Polaris, and a former retired Army colonel, Army Special Forces colonel, West Point graduate, really cool guy. Rock is his name. You guys may know him. And then he, even though he's an Army SF guy, he's went to West Point. Obviously brilliant, and I say that not because he went to West Point, because he picked 5 Force Recon guys to be on his team that he put out. So, yeah, but they did some amazing work because they like really pinpointed like some real high value personnel to rescue, and they had a smaller effort, but really solid effort. They did a great job, and so we brought them in with us. In fact, I'm going to be traveling this week with one of the guys from one of the Force Recon guys.
Yeah, and also I think you mentioned that the military gave you your own ramp, your own hangar. You guys offered to help control some of that stuff, and I mean, that had to be a huge value add to have that cooperation, not competition, right? To have them work with you. But
even on the ground, man, like everybody was working together. All these groups, like, hey, who you got? Oh, we can't get to this group. We'll give you this group. We'll take this one. It was but it was all extremely coordinated. It's surprisingly coordinated because I mean we're not, we're talking about different groups of people without kind of any dedicated comms outside of signal.
Yeah.
And I mean,
and no prior coordination, right? For whatever reason, you just like you guys, everyone jumped up in a short time, found their way over there without prior planning, short of just your immediate team, and then
But that is another thing that gave us an advantage is we were already 3 months ahead. Like a lot of people responded to this immediately when they saw things start to fall. We were already 3 months ahead in planning Aziz's extraction.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah,
Okay.
that started.
That kind of gave us a little bit of advantage too. We had a head start.
Yeah, I was looking back at some of our messages, and like it was May. It was early May when some other issues were being addressed.
Yeah, and we're gonna go get him. So we've been planning this for a while, but we've been planning it for a long time. But about 3 months ago, maybe 4 months now, 3 months before this went down, we were already like in serious planning for Aziz. So that gave us a really big head start. And we already had assets in country. So.
Okay, Toby, you got something?
Yeah, no, like so. I mean, you kind of touched on it, and it's like. So these groups band together. You got Task Force 6A, they band together, and out of that, we go from a hashtag to an actual entity, and that's a big pivot. That's a big move. Who are some of the people that you are, or that you think are going to take this to the next stop? Because anytime like a nonprofit is created, in theory, it has a mission statement that's to solve a need, fill a gap, bridge a distance. And so like now that everyone thinks, oh well, I guess we're done there. Well, I mean, there's a lot of follow-on stuff, right? We have thousands of people that are looking for host nations. We have people in different humanitarian centers. We're mobilizing the United States military. CONUS to help deal with refugees and processing. And so what is Save Our Allies next step? Like, where are you guys going? Who have you brought in, and what is the big plan for the next phase of this? Because we're not done.
Right, yeah. So it's still under Save Our Allies is still under Mighty Oaks Foundation because as an umbrella organization, but we've filed 501c3 status. The Independence Fund and Mighty Oaks Foundation are the two founders of Save Our Allies. The board has already been established for Save Our Allies. It's myself as the president of it, and Tim Kennedy, Sarah Varedos from the Independence Fund, and then Nick
Palmisano.
I can never say his name. I've been knowing him for 15 years. I can never say his name. 15 years? How long?
Oh, I bet it's been more than 15.
Same as you, yeah. So but no, maybe I would have met him before you because I met you because of Nick.
Yeah.
I was there one of their first Ranger Up sponsored fighters.
Yeah.
So we're the 4 board members. We just hired a operations officer. I don't want to say who he is yet because we're going to do an announcement, but we hired an operations officer. We were going to be looking for an executive director, or CEO executive director, because it is going to be a long-term organization, not just something that's a project. And then we have a kind of a primary operations company is Rayburn Group International, and that's run by Dan Stinson, who I've been knowing for many years and deployed to Afghanistan with him. He was my old boss, and he's just he's the guy to help me plan all this. So really trust him. He's running all of our operations out of Abu Dhabi for both continued rescues that's ongoing. We just got a plane out today. Just landed a few hours ago. 200 people on it, and then yesterday or kind of night before, we got the Afghan. We worked with Nazarene Fund to get the Afghan female soccer team out, the FIFA team, 95 girls that the Taliban.
Oh wow!
The dirty bastards won it. Those girls. So we got them out, and so we got lots of continued rescues going on. We're looking at some other, kind of unconventional ways to keep moving people out. Got 2 girls right now. The smaller group, only two girls, but they came from the underground church. Their whole family was killed, and so 2 girls like in their young early 20s. And so personally, we're kind of moving them to safety and getting them out. So we got big groups, we got small groups.
So you're still active. You're still kinetic in country. You're still getting people out through any means you possibly can.
Still getting people. That's 5,000 Americans still there. We can't stop.
Right.
And there's
Well, let's touch on
tens of thousands of our allies.
Let's touch on that real fast, because that seems to be a point of contention, right? Like,
does anybody know what
there seems there's people standing on a podium saying rounds complete, great job, coolest thing that's ever happened in the free world. And then there's this, like, everybody else going, there's thousands of Americans still there.
Yeah. Well, first of all, even if it's one, the job's not complete.
Right. Wrong answer.
Right. Yeah. Even if it's one. I mean, you and I know from, special
like Daniel Pearl, he was one.
Yeah. Yeah. We'll burn down the scorched earth is what I've been saying to get that one person, and use every bit of military might and strength to go get that person. And even if it means
Bergdahl, we did it for him.
Yeah, we did it for Bergdahl. Yeah. So, I mean, even one. So who cares if it's like how many it is? But I mean, we know there's, but I was saying this and people were saying that I was overestimating. But then if you go back and listen to the Senate hearing, they did the same math I'm saying right now, and it's thousands. If you go conservatively on the White House math, and the White House is going to be most conservative. So conservatively, they said they had 10 to 15,000 Americans. A week later, they said they rescued 6,000. No, I'm not very smart. I'm not a mathematician, but 10 to 15,000 minus 6,000 is not 200. Right. And,
like you went to a school in the Bayou in Louisiana. Yep. You should be able to figure that out.
Yeah. Yeah.
If there's 5,000 gators and we trap 2,000 of them.
I took my shoes off and I figured it out, and it's not 200. So, yeah, it's and obviously they want the optics on this not to be as bad as it is, but there's no way to make this look good. I mean, their response should be.
What is it? What is it that looks bad?
Well, first of all, we should
not from a personal perspective. What do you think from like take you and Aziz out of this, take your relationship out of it, take your time and service out of it, and look at it from a guy sitting in a church pew next to you. What do you think looks bad to him about it?
Well, I mean, that we created we left Americans behind, and we left innocent people behind that are going to be part of what I believe to be a genocide level event. I mean, they're shoving. I got videos from safe houses that I can't share, but I got videos from safe houses that are showing people being shoved in the back of a trunk of a car to be drove off the execution sites.
Yeah.
You shared some of that, I think.
I shared one, because we worried about that location.
Right.
But there's other ones that if you share then they'll be able to pinpoint the location.
Right.
So with stuff like that, we're not sharing. But that's just one example, the one I did put up. But those things are happening regularly. We know people, and I think what looks bad is the whole world knows that anybody that opens the book and reads below the cover, the whole world knows that we should not have left Afghanistan. The American people have been lied to, and we've been conditioned to believe that we're in this 20-year endless war, and we had to leave at some time, and it was always going to be bad. We wasn't in a 20-year war. The war was over years ago. We had a small contingent of 2,500 to 4,000 people left there that was supporting and advising the Afghan National Army to fight the Taliban on their own soil. The entire international community was participating in it. That Bagram Air Force Base is the most strategic location on the entire globe in today's current world between Iraq, Iran, China, Russia. And so to give up that base without the international community's consent is not America's place in the first place, especially without the Afghan government's consent. The only negotiation was between the United States government and the Taliban. And so to give up that strategic location and hand it over, because now it belongs to Iran, Russia, China, and hand it over, it makes the world a more dangerous place. Additionally, it was based on the premise that we want to end this war and get our troops out. Well, what about the 80,000 troops still in Japan, or the 40,000 troops in Germany, or the 30,000 troops in South Korea? Why did we have to get these 4,000 troops out? Who had anything to gain? And you have to ask that question: who had something to gain, and who had something to gain was China. I mean, they wanted the U.S. out of there because they wanted the mineral rights in the Hindu Kush mountains because of the trillions of dollars of lithium in those mountains. And I said that a few months ago. I got blasted, said I was a conspiracy theorist. On September 1st, the day after we pulled out, the Taliban and China brokered a deal for the lithium rights, mineral rights in Hindu Kush mountains. I mean, the motivation was there. So that's why it happened. But then if we were going to do it anyway, then why couldn't we do it right? Which was, I mean, we shouldn't have done it. But if we were going to do it, then why don't we move our military out before our civilians? Why did we give up Bagram Air Force Base? When the Taliban started to come in and the 82nd Airborne was going to re-seize Bagram Air Force Base to protect our equipment and maintain a second landing airstrip, why did the White House shut down the CENTCOM and the 82nd Airborne from doing that? Because they did. And then we took the NEO operation, the non-combatant evacuation operation. The White House took it away from the military where it belongs and gave it to the State Department, who has no idea or not equipped to do a NEO operation. In fact, the reason we have the State Department and the military is so you have two separate kind of forces of power. You have diplomacy and military strength, and that exists separately for very obvious reasons. And now you take the NEO operation and give it to the State Department. So now you give them the strength and diplomacy as a conflict of interest. And the State Department treated that airport, the HKI airport, like an embassy. In other words, the military was security guards. If you can make it onto the airport, you're safe. If you can't, too bad. We're not coming out to help you. And meanwhile, our troops had to watch the Germans, the British, the French go out and rescue their people while we couldn't. And so.
And a lot of that didn't hit the news. You heard a little bit about the French, but it was multiple countries. I think even Turkey too, and even others that were constantly getting their people, bringing them in. I know a lot of people didn't realize that a lot of the countries own different gates and entry points into the airport, and they were directing their people to theirs and that kind of stuff, right? It's just obviously they only know what they hear, and depending on what they tune into, gives them the narrative of what they hear. But you saw a lot.
I was trying to keep my Instagram pumping real time news out.
It was solid. It's and now looking back, and some things have changed, and the security postures changed. Is there anything you could kind of give our viewers and listeners just insight into any anything they never would have saw in the news, but something that was just enlightening to you, or just was as like all of us know, right? In combat, you see the worst of people and the best of people, right? I imagine you saw some of the same stuff in these weeks that you were on the ground.
I think I said this. I was really frustrated, obviously, watching America, the American government make the decisions. And it was probably never a time in my life that I've been more ashamed of our government, but more proud of Americans, because where our government kind of failed, Americans stepped up in such a powerful way. I had people that follow me on social media only to harass me because they don't agree with me politically or my conservative views, and they were supporting what we were doing. They're like, "Hey, you're doing a great thing. Love what you're doing," and financially supporting and stuff like that. We raised. I think Save Our Allies raised $1.1 million in 4 weeks, and maybe $800,000 in the Mighty Oaks International Fund. So overall, about $2 million were raised in less than a month. So people really stepped up, and I hear some conservative talking heads saying things like they don't support, we're not supporting Afghans coming in. Man, the American people have been very supportive of Afghans. Of course, we want to see the right people come here. We want to see vetting and State Department do their job to make sure they do the due diligence to make sure that the people that we let assimilate in our communities are safe. But Americans as a whole have been extremely supportive. We need 80 volunteer positions. Me and Tim blasted out yesterday. We got applications pouring in for people to go volunteer to humanitarian centers. By the way,
that's awesome.
FEMA has officially so we have sanctioning by CENTCOM, NORTHCOM, Joint Chiefs, DHS. We just had 7 government agencies asked to partner with Save Our Allies.
Wow.
FEMA made us give us official approval to work the humanitarian centers. They gave us 1, and now they want us to do all 8. There's some managing volunteers and getting resources in. I don't know why this is the case. You might have heard me yesterday. The United States government cannot allow FEMA to spend money on like basic needs. So they have to rely on nonprofits to do it. So like baby formula is the biggest one. And everybody keeps asking me, why don't they breastfeed? I don't know why they don't breastfeed. I can't answer that question. But baby formula, right? Diapers, butt rash cream, like all that, tampons, like all this stuff they can't buy. And so we said, okay, send us a list and we'll see what we can do. They sent us a list. It was like $500,000 worth of stuff. So there's a huge need there. We have that Amazon wish list. People keep sending stuff too. We get packages and then we put a volunteer thing on our website. And so, yeah, Americans have really stepped up to help, both with the continued rescues. I thought people only cared about the rescues, but people are helping on the humanitarian side too and the resettlement side. Yeah.
That says a lot. I'm sorry, go ahead, Toby.
Let's while we're talking about it, let's just remind everybody, we're talking with Chad Robichaux of Save Our Allies and Mighty Oaks, the website at which people can get this information, saveourallies.org.
Saveourallies.org. Right now, I mean, everything happens so fast, including the website. My guy, Michael Cameron, built a website in like 24 hours. And then, Nick's team is going to be rebuilding a new kind of website that people will be able to do donation campaigns and stuff like that. This could be a big, heavy lift. I mean, what we've done so far, it's kind of like the beginning. I think like the tip of the iceberg. The big piece is the back end, the resettlement piece. The rescues we're doing now are going to be much more complicated, much more expensive. And the resettlement piece is huge. I mean, we want to, at least the 8,911 that we're responsible for, we want to make sure that they are treated with dignity and respect and humanely as they, and right now they're in the UAE. The humanitarian center is incredible. They thought of things that I never even crossed my mind. When the kids, they showed up there, they had kids and clothes. They had, toys for the kids and clothes and social workers and doctors. And I didn't think of anybody being pregnant. We've had 3 babies a day. And that,
wow.
I mean, who'd have thought of that? Like, are you going to rescue? Yeah. Who's going to deliver babies? We have 3 babies a day. Like, they thought of everything. And then what they didn't think of, they were like, reacted immediately. One day we were in a meeting and they were like, hey, what do they like? The kids are getting kind of bored because they've been locked in quarantine for like 10 days and quarantine's up. What can they do? And they're like, next day they're building playgrounds. And I don't mean like they threw a swing set. I mean like whatever you guys have in your like suburban America neighborhoods, like those kind of playgrounds, they're building like real playgrounds in the humanitarian center for the kids.
That's
like,
awesome.
And meanwhile, here in the States, not so much. It's not quite the case. I know I don't want to bust on our military because our military is doing the best they have, but our government can do a lot better. We could we can do better than PVC pipe and plastic walls with 4 cots. And
So the best of what you saw out of people was really just the American people stepping up and continuing to step up, because the media is obviously not pushing this narrative anymore, right? As far as the media is concerned, it's all behind us and they're focusing on other things, but people are still stepping in. They're still contributing.
People are still stuck there. American people know it. The American people are helping support us to get them out. The media is trying to squash it and move on. And people want to see, we have a duty to resettle these people the right way. Especially our interpreters.
And we're contractually obligated. We gave them our word in writing that we would take care of them. Yeah,
I got pretty ticked the other day. I was on Steve Bannon's show, and I didn't stay on. I was you kind of on the interview at first, and then you hear him talking before, and he said, I've never had a problem with Steve Bannon. I've always liked him, but man, it just shows the mentality of some people right now. He said, just because somebody served with, help the Marines interpret doesn't give them a free ticket to Milwaukee. And I'm like,
if that's what we said we'd give them, then we do.
I hung up. I didn't stay on the interview. Sorry, Steve Bannon, but I was not in the mindset. He probably didn't want me in the show in the mindset I was in when I heard that. The producer called me back and said, "Hey, I think you dropped the call." I didn't drop the call. I'm not good for this interview. So.
Yeah. Well, and you're doing all that. Plus, you still have Mighty Oaks Warrior Foundation. You still got that's running. It's not like you side can that, right? You've got a lot on your plate.
Well, not only that. I mean, this can't be overlooked. The impact this had on the veteran community.
Yeah.
Oh,
The
I was just about to bring
suicide
that up.
hotline the suicide hotline is up 200%. It was up 1,000% for COVID. So 200% of 1,000%. Last year was up 1,000%. Now it's 200% of that 1,000%. And it's mostly Afghan veterans calling. I mean, it's suicide ideation saying, I couldn't get my interpreter out. Was this for nothing? Did I lose my legs for nothing? Did I lose my mind for nothing? Did I lose my soul for nothing? Like, did I lose my friend for nothing? Parents, did I lose my kid for nothing? Like, all this, these questions they're asking themselves, and and they need help reconciling those things. And so we're having to be there to reconcile those things. We're getting tons of applications for our legacy program, and so we want to make sure we're there to answer those questions, to help them through that. We've had some suicide attempts. And so we want to make sure that it's people are having a hard time. I mean, you gotta imagine, like, this is like, you think about what happened in Saigon, right? But nowadays, what people have is this, and they had thousands of veterans on this phone, this WhatsApp with their interpreter, trying to walk them on HKIA airport, and so many of them. It didn't. Most of them wasn't successful. So they're trying to save they're on their phone, trying to save their ally. They're kind of plug our organization there, right? They're trying to save their ally. They're trying to save their interpreter, get them on HKI airport. They're on WhatsApp with them day and night. We know so many stories like this. And they either, some cases, lost comms because maybe they got captured or killed or whatever. Cell phone tower got cut off, or they just never got them on. And so that's like a personal traumatic experience when you're trying to physically save someone's life on WhatsApp and they never get out.
Well, it's not just that. We, Robo, we talked about on this show, the immediate thing was how many wounds this was going to open up for our Vietnam population, right? Just the way it ended and everything. Not, just of that, how many folks had finally gotten past all that this had to rip open the wounds to sit there and go, we're doing this all over again. Right. It's the same thing. It made Saigon, in my personal opinion, look like child's play compared to how this one went down. I mean, when you got people falling off of planes, when you got, all that happened, you got women just throwing their babies essentially up to a Marine, like just,
That's just wild.
Yeah.
One of the things that people didn't know with the babies, right? You see they're crowd surfing babies to get them you kiss them goodbye and crowd surf them, get them to the fence and then try to throw them over the Marines where. What they didn't know was the other side of the fence they were throwing them over, because they couldn't see on the other side of the fence, was not Marines. It was 5 feet high of concertina wire, about 20 feet deep. And so they were throwing babies in concertina wire in 100-degree heat. And my buddy Joe counted 6 of them dead in there. Wow.
That's not anything you ever saw on the screen for sure. And then this was a family event, right? This was it wasn't just you invested in this.
I had Brung Hunter with me. My son Hunter's an Afghanistan veteran, so he's like, "Hey, I want to go. Like, it's important to me." And I'm like, "No, he's my kid. You're not going." And he's like, "I'm a kid. I'm also an Afghanistan veteran. I'm real blown going." And so, so I took him along.
Well, Chad, we really appreciate it. Thanks for hopping on. I know you got another thing coming up. We'll probably be watching you on like some major networks. So we appreciate you coming down and hanging with your lowly pals, for a few minutes. But I
gotta stay tight with you to go fishing.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. The keys to the kingdom. Really appreciate it. Everybody listen.
I'm sorry I didn't want to interrupt you, but I'm like, I'm gonna need a fishing trip after this.
Yeah, no, you got one coming. I guarantee it. We really appreciate it. And again, everybody listening, saveourallies.org. Is where you can contribute financially. If you don't have money, but you got some time on your hands and you got a willing heart and an open heart, there's a lot of opportunities for you to volunteer. There's volunteers needed right now. There's also the need for humanitarian items. You can also find out about the Amazon wish list so that we can, start getting baby formula, diapers and stuff to these mothers that are giving birth when they got on a plane with absolutely nothing. So go to saveourallies.org. Chad, anything you want to leave in anything else we need to leave in terms of info?
Nah, man.
Digits?
yeah, I mean, all those things, the financial things are great. We need that. Please keep us in our prayers. Like, people on our team are now doing some risque stuff right now. And so, lots of traveling, and then there's poor people in Afghanistan. I mean, America. Imagine how scared I was. I was on the phone today with these two girls, 21 and 22 years old, and they're by themselves. They just went across the mountains by themselves, and they're pretty they both spoke perfect English, so they probably lived pretty good lives. And imagine how scared they were.
Yeah.
I don't want to.
If they get caught by the Taliban, they're going to be lifelong sex slaves.
Right.
They probably wish they would be dead. I mean, that level of desperation, we had one of the dads shot his 5 daughters.
So they wouldn't get captured.
Yeah.
We can't even imagine, can't even fathom how somebody can put together the I guess you'd call it strength to even do that. I mean, whatever. Well, I'm not sure what you'd call it. I'm not sure strength.
Trying to spare them. Just
right.
trying to spare them. So just imagine that situation. Keep these people in your prayers, man. This is horrific.
I imagine, just real quick too, this gives you a chance to I mean, obviously you're a strong man of faith as we are. It gives you a chance to maybe even witness to some people, turn people. I know you do it through Mighty Oaks, but in others, I'm sure it's giving you a chance, even influence the people around you, maybe that are on the team that aren't necessarily strong in their faith. Hopefully it gives you a chance to do that.
It's just coincidentally, not because we were recruited that way, but I think everybody in a part of Save the Allies team are people of faith. Some people are really, really strong Christians. And honestly, I believe that everything we've done has really glorified God and been an example for others. I've had so many Muslims reaching out to me from Afghanistan, and they're saying thank you, thanks for caring for our people. They're just blown away that we're helping them, and then they're telling me things that I know they don't believe, but they're saying it because they are thankful to us. They're like, I hope Jesus is with you. These are Muslims. I hope Jesus.
Right.
Well, they believe in Jesus. They believe he walked the earth. I mean, they do. Yeah. So.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I know they definitely acknowledge Jesus as a prophet, but they know what we believe, and so they're trying to be kind and in there. And
and hope that what you believe is right.
Yeah. Well, hey, Chad, thank you so much for tuning in, for coming on, joining us tonight. Thank you for, just enlightening us and our listeners and viewers into so much going on. And we know it was a big ask for you to take some time out because you have been going 1,000 miles an hour, brother. But all right,
guys, appreciate it.
You have a great one.
See you guys.
Well, that wraps up another episode of the Stu and the Nunn Show, and we hope you had as much fun listening to it as we did hosting it for you. Don't forget to like our Facebook page and follow us on Twitter. You can find all these links at stewandthenunn.com. We will talk to you again next Thursday at 8 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. Central. Also, we'd like to thank our sponsors, Commodity Outdoors, Veteran Outdoors, Enlist 9 Fight Company, Warrior Media Solutions, and BooHammer.com. Thank you again, and have a good night.